So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here for this ribbon cutting event for the Jackson Tower facility. This is a long time coming, of course. I don't know what we did to get this weather, but thank you, Lord, right? So what we decided to do, and by the way, just if anybody's interested, we had over 100 registrants. So I'm not sure if that translates into what I see right now, but I see an awful lot of faces, an awful lot of familiar faces, an awful lot of supporters of what we do. And I'm going to miss some names, I'm sure. So I'm not going to try to include everybody in acknowledging some of the folks that are here. So I apologize in advance. But what I first want to do is, I want to, well, look, before I do that, let me start by acknowledging my wonderful board. These folks are the guardians of what we do as a mission, and they are the champions for this city. And without them and without their support, we couldn't do the things that we do as a housing authority, such as this building that we've been able to do over the last 2 years almost. And so my chairperson, who's sitting up front here, is Miss Emily Leader. Absolutely. My commissioner, Miss Tanisha Williams, is to my left, to your right. Thank you, Miss Williams. Miss Maddie Watson. Where is Miss Maddie? Miss Maddie Watson. And kind of sitting incognito back here to my right is Mr. Lavelle Muhammad. And our last commissioner, and of course, not at the least of our commissioners, is Reverend Donrico Colden. I don't know if he's here. I haven't seen him. I think that he had another engagement he had to attend. So anyway, I need to acknowledge them because they're so important to what we do. And quite frankly, they're the ones who, among the citizens also, but they're the ones who keep me in check and keep our staff in check so that we stay on mission, quite frankly. The redevelopment of the Jackson Tower is about providing quality, affordable housing to our residents and to the city, to be sure. However, it's also about respecting the principles of dignity and decency for all of our city residents. I think all of us can agree that a home is more than just a place to lay our heads and store our belongings. It offers us a sense of pride and value. And by the way, it's offering excellent housing in our city, which also instills the pride, value, and dignity in our city as well. As you look at the skyline across the river, you can see what an impressive piece of architecture this is. We all strive for this city to be a world-class city, and I humbly submit to everybody that in order to do that, it is of the utmost importance that we look at all of our residents in a manner that is befitting of a world-class city. And so the quality that you see in this building and the time and effort and attention that was taken to build this building respects that principle that I just articulated. And I know that the person that I'm about to introduce to you believes the same. We've talked many times about it. And so with that, I'm going to introduce our mayor, who he and his staff have been outstanding supporters of HHA's mission and for this project. It is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Eric Papenfuse.
Thank you so much, Sangor, and it is wonderful to see so many people out today. This is really incredible. It is an amazing day for the city of Harrisburg. I too want to start by thanking the board of the Harrisburg Housing Authority. It is one of the great privileges I have as mayor to be able to appoint the board members to this distinguished body, and I believe that they are doing an amazing, amazing job. A project like this requires vision, it requires great leadership, and it is no small feat. As you look, to your right, you see a $23 million project, which, among other things, created over 250 family-sustaining, well-paying construction jobs on this project alone. It is a transformative project. And as you walk through the building after this and you help yourself to refreshments, you're going to notice some of the most incredible details and craftsmanship that you'll see anywhere in the city of Harrisburg. This is not a previous generation's concept of public housing. This is some of the highest quality housing, period, for people anywhere in the country. And we are fortunate that our seniors are going to have access to a building like this. One of the things that impressed me was really no expense was spared in the construction project, and they did small things. As Sengor mentioned, just walking through the hallways, you'll notice that they widened the hallways, which is hard to do in the skeleton of an old building like this, in an effort to make them seem less confining and more spacious. The designs of the apartments are luxurious and large and beautiful, and it's really an incredible project. Now, this building is just one of many projects that the Harrisburg Housing Authority has going on right now. And I am pleased to say to all of you that demolition will begin later this month, the month of June, in the Mulder Square area for yet another project, which is $15 million more of investment into that critical South Allison Hill neighborhood. And we couldn't do any of this without having the great partners that we have, the Harrisburg Housing Authority. So more on that to come. And there are other projects in the works as well. One of the things that strikes me about this building is that not long ago, the building was empty. It was vacant, it was abandoned, it was basically given up on. Nobody was living here. So you've taken an empty shell of a building and completely transformed it into a world-class product. And I'm pleased to say that is actually beginning to happen all over this section of town. Not far from here, you have the Millworks restaurant, which was recently voted one of the finest restaurants in all of Pennsylvania. Well, that was an empty factory building that had been empty for even longer than this building was empty, probably 20 years. And that has become a thriving business. You have just another block away from that, the old Ron Brown Charter School, which was abandoned and dilapidated and leaking, and that has become completely renovated into a new small business incubator and new residents for new apartments for residents. Another block that way, you now have Zero Day Brewing Company in what was an abandoned back of an old building that used to be a blood bank in Harrisburg and had been abandoned for over a decade as well. So that investment, the investment which is happening here by the Housing Authority, is also matching the private investment that's going on in the neighborhood, and one by one, these abandoned structures are being redeveloped, and that's incredibly good news for the city. And you can add to that news some of the new construction which is happening in this very area as well. So you can look right over here through the gateway there, and you can see the amazing 1500 project that the Vartan group put together. An incredible spot. And just that way, another block, you have the beautiful new Susquehanna Art Museum. Now, both of those were constructed on empty, vacant lots. And what's going to be coming later this year is equally impressive. You have a state archives building that is going to break ground and be developed one block past the courthouse there. And finally, we have the new federal courthouse where we have all three branches of our federal government in agreement, legislative, executive, and judiciary, that it will get built. So an incredible critical mass of things is happening, and the city is also participating this in a redesign of the traffic on 6th Street and 7th Street in an effort to make 2nd Street two-way and to help revitalize and spur investment further down this corridor all the way through the Camp Curtin Historic District. So we are very, very excited about what this represents. It represents not only a project which allows our seniors to have the finest housing anywhere in Pennsylvania, but it represents an investment which is part of a much larger multi-million-dollar investment in the community of Harrisburg as a whole. So thank you, Sengor. Great work. And to tell you a little bit more now, I think, about the history of the building, we'll pass it over to you and the Harrisburg Housing Authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well stated. So I'm going to call up one of our staffers, our Director of Capital Improvement. But before I do that, I did want to acknowledge a few folks that are in the audience. So this project cannot be done without this extensive array of participants, from the federal level to the state level down to the local level. And we have some phenomenal federal partners, and we have, quite frankly, some phenomenal political partners. You just heard from one. Well, we had a phenomenal partner in Senator Casey, and he couldn't be here today because right now they are in full swing, but he has some of his staffers here. I believe Miss Sandra Garcia is here somewhere. There she is. And his intern is here as well. I apologize for your name. But thank you for being here. We appreciate that. We also, like I said, we have local support as well. And I know that you all can appreciate the determined work of our city council. Well, our city council leader, City Councilwoman Wanda Williams is right in front of me. There she is, directly in front of me. I was thinking that. City Councilwoman, President Wanda Williams is with us. Thank you so much for being here. Please give her a round of applause for being here. You wouldn't know this, I do of course, but the city, through her insistence and through her approval, they actually put money into this building as well, and we thank you again, President Williams. So the team that I told you about is a variety of different participants that have skill sets that range from putting the concrete down that you're sitting on, that you're standing and sitting on, to the light fixtures inside this building, to the mechanical systems that are up on this roof. It is a very, very sophisticated and complex project. And so there are a lot of different partners that participated in this process. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Robert Grosco, we call him Bob Grosco, our Director of Capital Improvements, to give you a little bit of history about the building, some of the primary partners that had helped us through this project, and then of course give you some insight into what's next. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Senghor. Follow Senghor and the mayor speaking? I don't know. I'm not that good of a speaker. I gotta move these a little bit. Okay, so Jackson Lick, which is the sister building over there. Oh, I'm sorry. Jackson and his sister Lick building over there, towers, first opened in 1960. And they opened as a family site originally. Jackson Tower was named for C. Sylvester Jackson, who was one of the founding fathers of our housing authority. And I did a lot of research. I usually research the people that the buildings are named for. And he was there at the beginning in the late 30s when the housing authority was formed. And at that time, the board met every week. So I know what it's like to have monthly board meetings, what we go through in preparing for those. They met every week. But when you think about the tasks that they took on, that really makes this look small. So anyway, in 1973, this building was converted to 240 units from the family units, because the family units in the sky didn't work. And there was 192 efficiencies and 48 one-bedrooms. So as you see, it was time to do some upgrades here. We decided to do a conversion to 159 units to reduce the number here a little bit. And they're mostly, there's 128 one-bedrooms. There's 22 fully accessible. There's 9 studios mixed in there. Each residential floor, 3 through 13, has 2 ADA units on each floor. They're fully accessible. Each unit also has its own individual controls for HVAC. They have a walk-in closet. They have new kitchens, bathrooms, and upgrades to the electrical, plumbing, and mechanical systems. The first floor has a community space that includes a fitness center, a conversation room, a medical suite, a library media room right here to my left. It has a game room right behind you here, and a multi-purpose room at the other end that includes resident relations offices so that they're all there to serve our residents. We added a larger third elevator that is ADA for ADA access, and it's a little bit better for accommodating large furniture, because when you get into the smaller ones that are originally put in the 60s, you'll see they're kind of small to get things up and down. We have laundry facilities located on 3, 6, and 9, so that there's 3 different floors that you can use, so everybody doesn't have to crowd into one room and wait for a washer. We also included in the renovation an area to house some more of our office staff. We added the what you see, the facade with the insulation and the windows. There's actually 6 inches of foam insulation there, so you could probably heat this with a candle. All new windows, doors, appliances, and it's all LED lighting. The front entranceway, even in the worst of weather, folks with mobility challenges can be dropped off and easy access to the building. So what I wanted to do, the start of this was with the development committee, and I wanted to acknowledge some people. First off, Singor, Darren Burrows, Pastor Earl Harris was on, and Leon Feinerman were on one of the early development committees. Beth Ellis, I think I saw her here somewhere. Beth, you here? Hi, Beth. And Lynn Stewart. Hi, Lynn. Brian Davis. Brian here? There he is. Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you. Several of our senior residents also helped in the process, and the entire KD3 team, and they're here, and I'll get to them later, because also the design professionals, KD3 Incorporated, Mark Ulrich Engineers Incorporated, Century Engineering, Roundbush Engineering, and the Vertus Group, and Mark Lambden Associates. They were all part of the design team. The construction administration team consisted of Dale Hare, the architect, who's the head architect on the project, Jonathan Thomas, who's over there behind the fence, and Gary Devers here behind the camera. Our prime contractors, Power Component Systems, had the original demo contract from Harrisburg. ECI Construction, Midstate Mechanical Electrical, Vision Mechanical, Lobar Incorporated, Legale Mechanical, Shannon A. Smith, and Honeywell International. And the subcontractors, I'm not going to name them all because I've got 4 pages of them. There's 4 pages of them. So you can see how economically this benefited the city and our surroundings and the Harrisburg area. I want to give a special thanks to the city of Harrisburg. The Codes Administration, Art Emmerich and his team came out here and to inspect everything and the life safety things in this building. He also recruited the help of Brian and Ron and the entire Bureau of Fire to inspect all the life safety equipment. Fred Banuelos, Patrick Bosworth are coordinating and facilitating the move of the residents. And finally, the commissioners of HHA for the approval of the many resolutions that we've brought forth and for your review and approval. I'll finish with just telling you a couple of the funding sources that were here. CDBG, we got 2 grants for CDBG. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of capital fund program, and I'll let Monica disclose the fee, the price of that. An AHP grant from the Federal Home Loan Bank, an OFFP, which is an operating fund financing program that HUD approves, and an EPC, which is an energy performance contract. So as you can see, there was a lot of different moving pieces to financing a project this size. So I think that's all I have, boss.
Thank you. Great job. Great summary. Great summary. You know, we say in our office, we say in our senior staff meetings, if it was easy, everybody would be able to do it. This is a very complex process, and this is referred to as a mixed finance project. Multiple financing sources which are involved with different kinds of approval levels, different kinds of appropriations, if you will, and a lot of planning. And so they were masterful in going through that process, Bob's team. So our federal partners, when I say this could not have been done without our federal partners, not an ounce of it could have gone forward without our field office. Our field office is out of Philadelphia. The director of the field office is here today, and Judith is here as well. And so we want Monica Hawkins, the director of the field office, to come up and offer some words. Round of applause, please. Thank you.
So much. Thank you, Senghor. Good afternoon, City of Harrisburg. I too want to acknowledge Mayor Papenfuse, hope I pronounced that correctly, City Councilwoman Williams, Ms. Williams, and Chairwoman Leader and her amazing Board of Commissioners. Good afternoon to each of you as well. So I first want to start off by congratulating Senghor and the Harrisburg Housing Authority on the amazing job of this building. I cannot wait to see the units, but like you said, this is no easy feat. It takes a lot of resources to get to this point. So kudos to the Housing Authority. However, this day is really not just about the bricks and mortar. It's about the families that will call these Jackson Towers their new home. So I really want to give a congratulations and a warm welcome to the families that are now in these buildings. This is an amazing opportunity, and I am thrilled that my office has had a hand in making this possible. The new Jackson Towers will be made available to 159 new families, and each of the units will contain new kitchens, new baths, as you heard from Bob. All of the units will be energy efficient, and there will be so many other amenities. But we are pleased to note that HUD has contributed over $14.4 million in capital funding for this redevelopment effort. And as you've also heard, the total project cost for this project is over $23 million. Senghor, I want to just say to you that you may not have been around when this building was initially taken out of service in 2003, but we applaud your efforts to seal the deal by constantly moving this project forward, because I know that there were stops and starts along the way. So thank you. In conclusion, my office stands ready to provide continued support and technical assistance as you move forward in your future endeavors. So again, I look forward to working with you, and kudos to the City of Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Great comments. So, like I said, we have a variety of different dignitaries that are here, and again, I'm going to miss some of them, but I did see Councilman Wes Majors. Did he leave? Oh, he's on the phone. Okay. Well, let him know I did see him. So this project, like I said, there are many different layers to this, but one of the things that going forward, so we talk about the future, one of the ways in which this is going to be done, these kinds of projects in the future and for the city, quite frankly, is that there is a public-private imperative. It can't stay just with the public now to finance these projects. The funding just isn't there. We're not going to be able to get it from Congress. It's nearly impossible. You have to have private industry also involved. That public-private partnership is essential. So we have a wonderful partner in the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh. They actually awarded us, and it's a grant, it's not a loan, $500,000 towards this project. That is a significant resource for us. And for the bank is David Bucas, who is the Community Investment Manager. I know it wasn't Community Relations Manager. David Bucas, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Senghor. I just want to start by saying that in the discussion of affordable housing, typically that discussion goes towards talk about creating new housing opportunities. And the creation, certainly the creation of new housing units is a big part of the affordable housing challenge that we're facing these days. But it really is just a part of it. The preservation of units that have already been built is equally as important or greater in importance in terms of the challenges that we face. And this modernization of Jackson Towers is just a great example of preserving a resource, an existing housing resource. The public housing program was started back in 1937, and it is responsible for the creation of 1.3 million units of affordable housing since that time. That is an important national resource. And the preservation of this resource is a critical priority, both at the national and local level, and deserves a lot more discussion as far as housing policy. The Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh is very happy to have played a small part in the partnership that delivered the preservation and the modernization of Jackson Towers. And something that many of you probably don't know is that we are a cooperative organization. We are owned by 300 plus members, typically financial institutions in the 3 states that are in our district, Pennsylvania being the largest, but it also includes Delaware and West Virginia. So, and the programs that we offer, we deliver through those local financial institutions. And I want to give a shout out to Fulton Bank. Fulton Bank was the Federal Home Loan Bank member that worked closely with the Housing Authority to prepare a successful submission for funding through our affordable housing program. And I think that in these days of scarce resources, it's important that we continue to engage our local financial institutions as partners in activities that involve both housing and community development and revitalization. So with that, I just want to conclude by congratulating the Housing Authority and Sangor and his staff for the hard work they put in. It's not easy to, as Sangor mentioned, this is a kind of a layer cake of funding sources, and anytime you begin to mix and match funding sources, it adds to the complexity. So congratulations to your staff for their dedication and commitment, and congratulations on this wonderful facility. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's time to cut a ribbon. Before I do that, I think I'm duty-bound and obligated to acknowledge my wife and my beautiful young daughter that are sitting there, Yvette and Sydney. So I know I'm embarrassing them, but I'm sure I would have heard about it later on. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for supporting what HHA is doing. Thank you all for supporting this project. These are the kinds of things that I know the mayor wants for the city. It doesn't have to be from HHA. It could be any particular developer that is thinking very similarly to how we regard housing and how we want to build housing for the city. As I said, we all strive to have a world-class city. It starts with the way in which we actually think about creating lives through quality living. And so hopefully there's more to come. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be cutting some ribbons.